Welcome in. You're listening to Medical Spa Insider, presented by the American Med Spa Association. We are happy to have you with us. This week, AmSpa founder Alex Thiersch chats with friend of the pod, Maegen Kennedy, founder of Windermere Medical Spa. Maegen will discuss how her med spa journey brought her to her new partnership with Aya Skin and how she made sure it was the right fit for her. And if this episode was the right fit for you, a rating or review is always greatly appreciated.
Welcome, everybody. This is Alex Thiersch. Welcome to Medical Spa Insider. And we are very excited to have on the AmSpa virtual hotline, the lovely and talented, and one of the OGs of the AmSpa family, Mrs. Maegen Kennedy, live from Florida. I think she's taken time out of her vacation to come talk to us, which we're very excited about. Maegen has been, we were just talking with us for more than 10 years, but we did a tour of your med spa, Windermere, which is now Windermere by Aya, back 10 years ago, which was crazy to think of because that was after I think you had even redone it and you had expanded and you had a whole cool area that you had built out, which was really cool to see. So we've known you for probably close to 15 years. And it's great to have you on. So much to talk about. You're a repeat customer, a repeat guest, and it's great to talk to you. How are things?
Oh, so good. Thank you for having me. And it is so good to sit down and talk and catch up and reflect together on
Yeah.
really the growth of both, what you've built and what I've built, and just amazing to be here. And thank you so much.
No, of course. And just so everyone knows, we're recording this. We should get this out prior to Medical Spa Show, which is April 9th, but Maegen is going to be at MSS. So for those of you who are listening, please come and find her and come talk to her because your story I was gonna say it's super unique, but it's not unique in this industry, but
Mhm.
it is inspiring in that I remember when we first started AmSpa and we started doing our traveling boot camp roadshow, and that went down to Orlando, and that's where we met you. And it was one of our first years. We had not done many of these, and that was when you still were relatively new. I don't think you had been out for very long. You're a PA, just for reference, and you had really just kind of started out, hung out your shingle, and you were doing your thing, and to see where you've come since then through expansion, adding all of these services, all of the training, everything you've done to now being acquired, and now you're a quadruple bazillionaire with multiple jets and God knows what. I'm just joking, but like you've really, really come so far. It's been really cool to see. And thinking, can you put yourself in your shoes back then? I mean, did you ever think this is what was going to happen with your life back then when
No,
you started
no, actually,
injecting Botox?
no, no, actually, I just thought about that the other day. I said, what would my, 10-year ago self had said if I was able to say, you were going to start this business, you were going to build it like this, you were going to do like next steps. I look at that, I would have laughed at myself and been like, yeah, that's funny. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. And
yeah,
you started off by doing you were the princess injector, right?
Yeah. It's funny. We inject the Disney princesses.
Yeah.
And so, we're like, well, I guess we're the princess injector. And it just kind of, makes sense because women come in and they're the princesses too. And so, yeah, we're the princess injector and we cloned it and trademarked it and made a big thing of it.
I remember being, because we did talk a little bit about like the Disney princess world, which I was
Mm.
blown away by that whole
It's
world.
wild,
Yeah.
wild.
And
Those,
to,
oh.
for those of you kids listening, Disney princesses apparently need Botox too,
Yes,
right?
to stay in their character. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
long term. So they have to
Yeah.
stay young and looking, and they're expressing like 400 times an hour. I'm like, this is
Yeah.
wild. And their hair's falling out from the wigs and their makeup from acne from makeup. And there's some identity things that go on there. And so it's a very interesting world that I get to kind of peek into. But they're under a lot of pressure to stay young, kind of like actors and actresses, like just
Yeah.
natural looking. And but they're really fun to work with, and I always love to hear what characters they're playing or whatnot.
Yeah. Now, so tell me, like, when you started, like, what got you into aesthetics in the first place? If we want to go way back
Yeah, let's go
in
way
the
back.
beginning.
So 15 years ago, I graduated. I started in a practice that was in Austin, Texas, and it was connected to integrative functional medicine, primary care. In the
Hmm.
back, it was connected to a medical spa. This is in Texas. So everybody, it was the wild, wild west and still is
Hmm.
getting better. But everybody was injecting there. And so I would go back and forth. I would go do Botox. I would go do someone, manage their chronic disease. And then I would go back and do laser hair. And then I would go manage, we had urgent care in the morning. So we sometimes had like heart attacks walking in. And it was just like this very interesting role that I was playing between both. And I remember thinking, I just want to stay on this side. I don't really even want to go back
Hmm.
to this side because I was just enjoying so much just the industry, even baby industry where we just filled folds here.
Yeah.
That was pretty much, we didn't even really touch the cheeks. Temples were never talked about. Jawline was not a thing. It was lips and nasolabial folds.
Yeah.
Um, and so fast forward to the next, I went into dermatology. I did
Hmm.
aesthetics and medical dermatology for several years. And then I went into the medical spa only space,
Hmm.
oversaw multiple medical spas in Texas, and then realized really quick I wanted to open my own. I wanted to do better. I wanted to make a bigger, long lasting legacy footprint on this industry and elevate it because what I was seeing was was not good. I was just
Yeah.
like, this is if this continues at this pace with these types of business practices where only the reps are teaching you how to do injections, where we're not talking about anatomy. I'm so
Yeah.
grateful for Chris Surik to bring forward really what he's brought forward in connection with AmSpa, because that was missing years ago.
Yeah.
And
Well,
so,
what, like,
yeah,
and I'd love to hear more about that. Like, what were you, like, what do you mean by that? Like, going back to then, because I remember what you're talking about.
yeah,
It's like, it was kind of, it was almost scary, right? Because you're just
yes,
like, what is going on? Like,
yeah.
what are people doing, right? And it's gotten better. There's still some of that going on, which is kind of frightening. But
Mhm.
what do you mean by just kind of when you say it was a little bit eye opening and frightening with some of the things that people were doing, and
Oh my
love
gosh.
to unpack that.
Yeah, the oversight wasn't there. The knowledge to do any like so people were what I would call cowboys, and they
Yeah,
still I think, to some degree, some of these people who are in this industry still are cowboys, but
yeah,
um
for sure.
it was wild. I remember thinking, how do we manage complications? I would get a
Yeah,
phone call and it was also like chart review, and they wanted me to be in 5 places at once to fulfill Texas law. I was like, this is wild.
yeah,
I can't good faith exam be in 5 places at once.
yeah,
So I did, that type of stuff was the regulatory stuff was so far behind, especially in Texas.
yeah,
It
yeah,
was, I actually couldn't believe that. I was like, I'm a highly trained medical provider, and I'm competing with someone that doesn't have any medical degree. Like, this is weird.
yeah, yeah. Did you ever have to? Did you ever get? And you don't have to answer any brand names, obviously. Did you ever
Yeah.
get asked to like do massive chart reviews
Yeah.
post
Yes.
treatment? Because that was
Yes.
when I first started. That was the first thing that I noticed where I was like, this this is not right.
Yes.
Where it's like all the treatments are done by
Yes.
hopefully an RN, but sometimes not even an RN. And then you'd have a PA or an NP come in afterwards and review all the charts, 30 charts a day, just to make sure everything looked okay post. And I'm like,
Post.
which is bonkers to think about that.
Yeah. So that is when I knew right then and there when I walked into the establishment, and there was a stack of charts, and I was supposed to sign off
Yeah.
the day that they were seen.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, this is my license.
Yeah.
This is not going to work. And
Yeah.
I think that, yeah, it was a practice in Austin, and of course, no names here, but yeah, it's still just practicing to, they're still doing things, and assistants were prescribing hormone therapy. And I was just like, I got to get out of here. And so I didn't
Yeah.
last there very long. And I'm a highly ethical provider. And I think that's what's missing in some of these situations. But
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, I remember getting phone calls from RNs, and they're like, I don't know what's happening. It's blanching, it's turning blue. And like, we had, there's just, we didn't even talk. I'm like, wait, what vessel did they hit? This was back in the day. We didn't talk about it.
Yeah.
We didn't
Yeah.
go through it. We didn't have crash carts. We didn't have toolboxes.
Hmm. That's crazy. So then,
It's
so
crazy.
like, did you always are you a born entrepreneur? I mean, did you know you wanted to run a
Yes.
business? I mean, there's
Oh,
this
yes.
where you were thinking this is something I want to do and I wanted to grow, and because not everybody's like, I mean, you saw opportunity, that's one thing, and a lot of folks in this industry see the opportunity. It's staring you right in the face. Um, but it's one thing to know it's there, and it's another thing to actually grow a business the way that you did. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
I mean, anything you find particularly challenging about a business that you growing a business
Oh,
that you
gosh.
didn't anticipate?
Yes, so many things. Yeah, as a very young person, like very young girl, I remember thinking, I like to do things my way. I like to be in
Uh,
control. Like, I feel that I will trust the decisions that I make more over someone else's decisions. So yes, when I started out, I mean, way back, I was like 13 different jobs, 15 different majors, because I think with an ADD brain and an entrepreneur brain kind of combined, you want to explore everything so that you make sure that when you jump in, you are jumping into exactly what you should be jumping into. And you can
mhm.
wholeheartedly do that, knowing that you've explored all your options. And that's actually in business that served me really well. But yeah, so, some of the things I've learned in running and operating the business is the challenges sometimes is in the team culture,
Yeah, sure.
and making sure that you know what you want your team culture to be, and you're bringing the weather to the culture, to the team. So if you're
Mhm.
unhappy, the team is going to feel it, and that's going to be the weather that is the company, the culture. So I
Mhm.
think also making sure that you can pour back into your own cup, you can eliminate anyone that has mean girl or jealous drama in your office. I think
Mhm.
that's a big one too. There's enough pressure that we have to treat patients. We don't need that type of pressure when we walk out of the room. We actually need a release. We need, like, where we can feel safe communicating, laughing. There is some dark humor, and to some
Yeah,
degree, you walk out and you're like, how am I going to do what they're asking me to do? And you can laugh with your colleagues, and it's funny
yeah.
because this industry, there is a bit of humor combined
Mhm.
with the art
Yep.
that we do. So I think finding your people, like I call it finding your tribe, was probably
Yeah,
one of the most challenging, and letting people linger too long in business was a big learning lesson for me.
yeah, yeah. Now,
Uh,
how do you solve for that? Because that's really hard. I've gone through that.
yes,
Everyone, I
yeah.
mean, if you're in business long enough, you will go through that. It's inevitable. You'll hit a point where things happen, and you outgrow the business outgrows you. It happens. So, how do you keep that tribe together even when you've got to replace people? People are outgrowing it. I mean, that's incredibly difficult, especially with the business you're in. It's usually, if not, it's all women, and
Mhm.
and which, again, not making any comment on that. It just is a fact.
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
it really it's a different dynamic than anything that most other businesses are used to.
Yeah, so having I always like to consider myself more like a man than a woman in a lot of ways. I don't know. I like to golf, I like to play poker. I mean, my husband took my last name. Like, I'm more like a guy. So I don't know if that helps or
Good
not.
for him, by the
And
way.
and so I think for me with that question, that's a really good question. I think it's really about your mindset. And so if it's business as usual when someone leaves, that's a key person. And business as usual, yes, we can be here to, have empathy towards people who are sad that that person may be gone. But I think we need to always move forward. So it's all about moving forward. And we always say we have a couple things in our office. It's everything happens for a reason. Windermere speed. So we're quick to make decisions. We're quick to pivot. We're quick to learn. I always say if something bad happens, as long as we've learned from it, I'm good. Like we don't want to live in the problem. We have to always look for solutions. And I think as business owners, we're solution focused. And so when we identify that somebody is either in the operation that's almost like poking holes in the boat while you're trying to, row at the same time, you have to get them out, and you just have to solve for any emotional turmoil that may come. But the more you just keep moving forward and the less you live in that moment of what happened, the better. So to me, it's just like, yes, we can have a moment to pause. We're sad. Okay, we're moving forward.
Yeah. No, I like that. So what other little aphorisms do you have? I like that.
Yeah.
Windermere speed. I like that.
Windermere speed.
It's like be a goldfish, like
Yeah.
in Ted Lasso.
Yes.
It's true. I mean, it really is. There's and those little sayings kind of they help because it gets everyone to buy in.
Yes. Yes.
And you have to, I mean, you need to have something to keep everybody bound together because otherwise things start to fray.
Yeah. And I think identifying people in the organization that have the same energy and mindset and vibe, that when you're
Yeah.
not there, they're able to carry that. So it's really the leaders that are there when you're not there that contribute to that success. And I tell my leaders all the time, I'm like, if I'm not here, you have to be the same energy that I would have, right? Like we have to be one. We also consider ourselves the Blue Man Group. So everyone should be able to jump in and help. And there's no one thing that's higher or better than the other. It's we're all doing this together as one team, and really elevating and supporting the providers because they're under a lot of stress. So if we can take, we take all of it off their plate. We don't let them room patients. We don't let them numb or consent, or we just we make it easy. We do all their treatment plan presenting, their chart noting gets started, so all in all, to make their lives easier so they could focus on the actual performing and the art that they're doing and the patient relationship that they're building. To me, that is successful. And we're passing batons all day long to each other. You hand off, and that handoff to the next person has to be a system. And I've learned that systems have really made my life much easier, for sure.
Yeah. How did you learn all those systems? I mean, do you have any formal business training? Did you go to
No.
So
No.
like, is this just trial and error? Did
Yeah.
you meet with consultants? I mean, there's so many consultants out there and they sometimes help. Usually it's you kind of find little bits and pieces and go with it. Or did you just develop this on your own?
I mean, a little bit. I had a little bit of everything, right? Back in the day,
Brian Dorsher.
Brian.
Yes.
I initially he was my first go-to. Yeah. He was like, I bought his,
Yeah.
disc, I think is what it
Yeah.
was back in
It
the
was a
day.
DVD, I think, or
Yeah,
something
I
like that.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I bought the old book of like how to run a med spa, and like so yes, I used a little bit of and then I of course Skytail, I worked with Judy for a little while to kind of make sure I was all positioned properly. So she's amazing. She's one of my good friends. I worked a little bit with some of the people that from some of these laser, they had some consultant-based people, but nothing really formal. It's about just really being highly aware of what's going on, and
Yeah.
being perceptive to like emotional intelligence, I think is huge in running a business.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, you make it sound so easy. I mean, my goodness. I mean, so so talk about the different iterations of because we came down last time I was there. I mean, this was God 10 years ago when we visited. You had expanded. You and your husband, who's a it was a dentist or an oral surgeon, one of those, and I can't remember which, but you had kind of combined your practices, or they were in the same building, and so you had this kind of amazing building. Did you expand since then? I mean, do you have multiple locations? What's your kind of footprint right now?
Yeah. So we started off with the 4,000 square feet, I don't know, it was at the time 13 exam rooms. We actually took away half the waiting room where we met, and I made
Hmm.
3 more exam rooms. So now we have
Really?
16. And
Wow.
it's a huge, amazing, beautiful building facility we built out from
Yeah.
scratch. I was there every day with a hard hat, watching all the walls go up. I filmed it, and we actually on YouTube, you could find a lot of our collabs
Yeah.
still with, hey, I would look back and I kind of cringe watching myself 10 years ago. I'm like,
Yeah.
we have
There's nothing you can
walls.
do about that.
I remember looking back and it's like, we have framing up. I think we're going to open in 2 weeks. Like,
Yeah.
no.
I know.
Oh
I
my
know.
God.
But how do you like, so how do you over the years, I mean, with the continued growth, what do you kind of attribute to that ability to continue to grow? The industry has grown. A lot of
Yes.
folks have continued to grow, but not everybody. So
Yeah.
how have you continued to grow year over year, expand year over year without getting out over your skis and getting too bloated and going off
Yeah.
track?
Yeah. Oh, that's a great question. So we then, like 2 years ago, we expanded to a second location. So we have two,
Mhm.
and dental's going to close down actually soon because he's retiring. And
Okay.
so in about a month. So
Hmm.
we're excited to take over that space and make that more of like a wellness, also more exam
Hmm.
rooms. But yeah, I mean, for us, with how you grow without, taking on a ton of debt for marketing, taking on a ton of debt for lasers. There's a strategy that we've worked with now that we've developed over time was how you launch things in your business. And so
Hmm.
if you have a new device, what I saw people doing was, hey, we've got this new device, come get it. And it's like, wait a
Yeah.
minute, that's not, to me, that doesn't excite anyone. There's a device down here, there's a device down here. So for me, it was always soft selling the device before we even got the device or even training on the device. Test my patient needs,
Hmm.
test like on patient, treatment plans, adding some of these things, right? So it's like, are you interested? It's almost like you're curious, and if you're
Yeah.
getting this pushback, like, it's not then you kind of know, maybe don't even buy the device. But what we would do is we would soft sell it, then we would do a huge launch. I mean, our launches would within 24 hours, every device was paid off. Every device.
That's
It's
crazy.
insane. It's insane the way we did it and the way that we wouldn't. And the thing is, you can't do it where your phones are going to be called, like ringing off the hook.
Yeah.
We have a thing that we use, a system that patients go on and they pay for it themselves, and they just do it all through a software.
Hmm.
So we don't even get the phone calls. We just see the, sales coming in. And it's because we have built up this whole excitement and we have
So is it like an
strategized.
event that you do, like a launch, or is it just like now it's
We
open and now
call
available?
them launches, but they're nothing in person. There's nothing in person there. They're all like, each laser will find something that's unique about it. Like, for example, when
Uh,
we launched Ultra Clear, we did a week of secret, top secret. You had to actually like unlock codes and emails, and like we would have folders and we'd film. It was all about marketing behind this like very secretive device. And
mhm.
when we launched it literally, we had to buy a second device. That's how it was sales for 2 devices, because we couldn't
Mhm.
keep up with what we were doing and have more in-office sales. So we've every device we've ever launched since doing it this way, we've never had laser payments. And I think,
That's
that's
insane.
huge. Yeah,
Yeah.
and paying your, people really well. We have 401(k, profit sharing, cash balance plans, health insurance, all the perks
Hmm.
that you would want your employer to offer. We offer it because we want to attract the best talent. And when you have the best talent, it carries the whole, the team can carry on its own,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah. That's crazy. It is. I remember us having this conversation because for a long time you hardly had any devices. Like
Yeah.
you were like averse to buying.
I was
You were like,
thankfully, yes.
yeah,
Back in the day, I was at a conference and a guy walked right as I was opening, and he walked by me and I was looking at devices. What do I buy? And he walked by me and he goes, none. I was like, who is this stranger? I don't know if I
yeah.
remember you remember the story.
I do.
And I was like, why? What do you mean I don't need to buy any right now? I'm just opening. I need these devices.
Yeah,
And he's like, wait to see what your patients want. And here we are. We have 26 devices for 2 locations.
yeah,
I am a device junkie now, but I took the
yeah,
advice to wait.
yeah,
And then I brought them on as I realized the need. So I wasn't stressed out in the beginning with huge laser payments.
yeah. I mean, there's really, there's different ways to do it. And I've seen it work where you market the device, have the device. But to me, the way, seeing as you were already open and operating and you had, princesses coming in your place, like, that seems like the smart way to do it. And so it does, it preserves cash. It allows you to do so much more. Hey, everybody, it's Alex Thiersch. Thank you to CallRail for sponsoring this podcast. If I asked you right now which social campaign or Google ad brought in your highest paying client last month, could you tell me? Most med spa marketers are investing in growth, but can't point to the specific dollar that's actually working. And it's hard to scale when your ROI is a guessing game. That's where CallRail comes in. CallRail's lead engagement platform shows you exactly which marketing channels are driving your highest value clients. Their AI voice assistant even answers and qualifies calls when your team is busy, so you're not missing that high-value consultation that could have been your next loyal regular. That's why over 225,000 businesses, including top-performing med spas, trust CallRail. It's time to stop hoping your marketing works and start knowing it does. Try CallRail for free for 14 days, no credit card required, at callrail.com/amspa. That's callrail.com/amspa. So kudos to you. I mean, that's cool. Now the big thing that I want to talk about though too is it is now 2026.
Mhm.
You have been I'm sure harassed by private equity and buyers now for probably 7 or 8 years. We've been, the whole, I mean, truly the consolidation has been hot and heavy in the last maybe 4 years or so. But it certainly has been going on longer than that. I mean, I remember 2020 is really 2019, 20 when it's really started happening, and everybody was getting calls. And so I imagine you've been contacted for years and years, just like with the devices. You held off for a long time, and it's a really interesting story that I think everyone's going to find valuable. So I want to get into that, and we'll have a lot more of that to come, I think, in future presentations. But let's talk about that. First of all, you have finally pulled the trigger and joined a platform. So talk about who you're with now and how that came about, and then we'll jump back and talk about your experience in getting there.
Yeah. So yes, I joined the platform in February of this year, and Aya Skin is the name of the platform.
Yep.
It's plastic surgeon founded, and so 25 years ago, plastic surgeon, opened, I think it was 4 or 5 locations in Georgia, Atlanta,
Mm-hmm.
and then scaled one to Dallas, and realized his capacity was, what he was doing. If he wanted to grow bigger, he needed to bring on private equity himself.
Mm-hmm.
And so his story is really fascinating to me, actually. He's been a plastic surgeon for over 25 years. And so having, medical aesthetic, kind of platform, for me, that's important. We're doing medicine. I want to really make sure that that's really a big part of what we always do. And that's like the primary focus is we're doing the right thing by the medical practices.
Mm-hmm.
So Aya has grown now in 4 states, 12 locations, and wonderful people, like the leadership, the humans that are also, the private equity component of this.
Yep.
Really amazing, amazing people, amazing growth plan. Their future of what they deem is the right theory for growth is aligned with mine. And so
Hmm.
not just their
I believe they
business
call it a thesis in the private equity world.
thesis. Oh, that's good. Okay, that's good. I'm learning things. Yes. So that's the thing is for me is I want to make sure we align on, yeah, business and
Yep.
clinical.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
you don't align on one and you only align on, one of those rather, not both, then to me, it's not a right fit.
Yeah. So, but so this is 2026 February. That's, just last little over a month ago. Um, why did you resist for so long? Because I remember we had a number of conversations over the years, um, about this, and just because everybody, it seems like, was getting gobbled
Yes.
up, or at
It was
least
smash
they
and
were
grab.
considering. I mean, most people were considering it, and I don't blame anybody. It's like it's not easy to run these businesses. It's exhausting. What was walk me through kind of number one, the temptation of it? Like people were
Mhm.
coming to you, and I imagine, and probably offering the world. What were your considerations and what were your hesitations, and ultimately, why did you hold off until you did?
Yeah. So you're right. At conferences, laser reps and private equity do, they're there. And so they're definitely excited to talk to you and you get phone calls, you get messages, you have friends calling you as well that, I just did this, you should do this. And it's
Mhm.
very overwhelming. And I think a lot of us in this space have been in this space pre-COVID. We've built our
Yeah,
houses from brick, and when
yeah,
I think what we're seeing now is people who built with their houses made of straw during COVID, they're struggling because they didn't actually build the business pre-COVID, which was really important to do because we saw a huge boom, in the beauty industry. And of course you get some
Mhm.
tapering now, but um so yes, it was really hard to resist the temptation, but well, actually, it's close to 3 years now ago. I had a phone call from a friend, very close friend, as well. Um, and he said, you know what, this is happening. You should look into this. This is like a really great platform. My husband was like, absolutely not. You're not ready. You're still scaling. You're still growing. And I was like, let me look into it. So looked into it, decided that, the temptation there, of course, is like,
Mhm.
wow, this is wonderful. Like I can, of course, take some chips off the table while I build something really amazing. I can have all this support. I could do all these things. I can, whatnot, right? Fast forward 8 months into that process, I realized it wasn't the right fit. Just
Mhm.
there was things that didn't align. The feeling like a number or dots on a map, or not understanding the uniqueness or special practice that I have built. I was afraid that that would be in jeopardy of being just lumped into a bunch of people, a bunch of different groups. And so I think that's really important. Like you want to find a group that is as selective as, you are.
Mhm.
And for me, it's like finding a boyfriend, right? Like I don't
Yeah,
want him to go on dates with anyone. I want him to go on dates
yeah.
only with quality.
But how did you, and again, I don't, certainly not that we're not here to cast aspersions on anybody, but how did you get to that conclusion? Like, what was it that led you to think? Because there are others who have gone with that same platform, and really, to me, it's always it's right for some people, it's not right for others. It just kind of depends on the fit. But what was it about this particular situation that gave you that kind of spidey sense where you're like,
Yeah.
This is not
Oh,
gonna."
yeah. I have a lot of little things along the way that happened, and you add them up, and then it becomes your answer. And for me,
Mhm.
it was the integration fail. That was not good.
Mhm.
Also, feeling like I had to repeat our story to multiple people in the organization, and multiple people were coming and going. And the person who originally was in the platform who called me, who my friend, he got fired. And so I was like,
Mhm.
okay, wait a minute. A lot is happening here at a fast pace. They're acquiring so many so rapidly. And then who they were also really acquiring didn't fit with us. And I was like, I am not going to be in the same boat with this other practice and have to carry the weight of this whole platform or all these other spas that I realize they're not doing their due diligence properly. And for me, I think, sometimes those groups, they have to skin their knees a little bit and then they come out with phase two and they do fine. And I'm sure it would
Mhm.
have been fine and great, but I wasn't really willing to take that chance.
Mhm.
So when I knew, there was a couple things that happened along the way of when I really knew, and the time to actually get the deal done kept getting delayed too. And I was like, you know what? Time
Yes,
kills every deal. And I
it does.
believe it
It
because
does.
it just did. It did it. And but it allowed me time to think more. And I'm grateful that they delayed because then I sat back and I was like,
Now,
wait a
what was their
minute.
reason for delaying though?
So back in whatever time that was when money was really expensive, they were trying to secure funding at a lower interest rate
Gotcha. So they
to
didn't
do the
have
deal.
the actual cash on
Hmm.
hand to do
Which was another thing, right? Like
it.
looking at how much funds available to the that scared me too. Like, what do you mean? This is a billionaire, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So there was a lot of
Yeah.
little things that happened. And then I'm a very spiritual person. And there were some things that were said from somebody in the organization. I will not name any of this, but that was said and it just hit me. And I was like, oh my God. I literally that was my exact thing I was looking for was a sign. And I went into my husband's office and was like, hey, I'm gonna cancel this deal. And he's like, why? There's like,
At
why?
that point, he was like, I'm
Yeah,
sold.
all the legal bills that you pay still, all the time and
Yeah.
energy and due diligence and list upon list upon list and all this energy, right, that goes into it. And I didn't have a broker at the time. And so
Yeah.
I just went in straight in, company only, didn't have any real representation from that perspective. Didn't do my homework, wasn't prepared, but it
Yeah.
was like it just gets thrown in your face. You're like, "Ooh, this sounds good." But then the time it takes to actually process that decision really for me was like God sent. And
Yeah.
I
So
just
you didn't
knew.
work with a broker either as part of the deal structure, getting the deal done, but then also as part of the due diligence side, you're doing this all
Yeah,
yourself.
all by myself. Well,
Yeah.
I have a great director that helped me do a lot of this, but
Yeah.
we both burned ourselves at every hour of the day. It was
Yeah.
like
Did you
it
even
was
know that
wild.
you could have someone like a broker and do all that stuff?
That's the funny thing is, I'm very close with SkyTail, and
Yeah.
I almost at that time used them, but I was like, why would I use them? And I already knew who I want to go with. Why would I use
Yeah.
them? And then, when it didn't happen, I remember calling Ben at SkyTail,
Yeah.
my good friend, and I said, I'm sorry. Like I was wrong.
Yeah.
Please,
Yeah.
please have me back
Yeah.
one day. And he was like, of
Yeah.
course, let me help you, right? And let me
Yeah.
let me let me show you why you would even bring us on. Like it was really meaningful
Yeah.
to see all that.
Yeah. I think there you have some really, really interesting takeaways there that I think folks, anyone who is considering selling now or in the future, one of the things that I don't think many people would think about, but was interesting to me is you said you had to tell your story over and over again to a bunch of different people, which was interesting because that's not something, you're going to have to do that to some extent, right? Because there's different members of any group. But the way you said it, it was like, it's almost like, what? You don't know my story yet? Almost like you're having to repeat this again. So clearly there was no institutional knowledge, there was no dissemination of information. You're having to repeat yourself to this, probably to the same person or the same group of people. And that is a red flag. It means that they just don't have maybe they don't have their shit together. And
Hmm.
that's a good way to put it. The money aspect is something that is scary, but most people just kind of don't worry about it. Like, oh,
Hmm.
they get the money. But you're right. Like
Hmm.
that's a frightening prospect. And to any delays are a red flag too. You must be very, very grateful in retrospect that all went down that way.
So happy, so happy. I count. I think also it's trusting your instincts and listening to your
Yeah.
gut. I really do. I believe strongly in that because it's a big thing to turn away from when you're 8 months in and you got a lot,
It's a
the
huge
team already
decision.
knows and it's
Yeah.
all happening and then you pull the plug on it all and you're like, all right, I hope that was also the right choice.
Hmm.
So, you also have to digest that decision for the company, the practice, the make sure that, so what that did though was that allowed the team members to see that I'm not just going to jump. I'm going to do what's in the best interest of the company and them. and patience. And it
Yeah.
wasn't just, to jump, just to jump. And the
Yeah.
trust I earned from that was actually pretty great.
Yeah. It's also post like a deal like that. Um, it's almost like you're in a fog and a depression for a bit. And it's like,
Yes.
and you have to
Yes.
like recover because you're
Yes.
hungover and then it takes a bit. But then hopefully, and it sounds like this happened to you, you get a little bit re-energized and revitalized. In fact, I think at the women's conference is one of the times when you went there and we got all fired up again too, which was pretty cool.
Yes. Yes. Oh my gosh, that was amazing. Amazing. Like what an experience, and sitting on stage and talking about the story and having people walk up to me and say, "Oh my God, you're the reason I'm going to cancel my deal." I'm like, "Oh my God, this is a lot of pressure." Like,
Yeah,
are you sure? Are you sure
yeah,
you want to cancel? And I think the thing is a lot of times we know already. And there's
yeah.
a couple of people that did actually cancel. And then they went back in and rejoined, and we've stayed in contact, a couple of these women. And it was really, and they still thank me, like, thank you, because I was in the wrong fog with the wrong set of situations. Because it is decision paralysis when, so what I did was when I walked away, I said, I'm never going back. I actually was like, in my mind, right? I was like, maybe always one day, but like, I'm never really wanting to go back. If I go back, I'm not going to really want to go back. So
Right.
fast forward, I thought all private equity was the same way. I thought everybody
Yeah,
was going to be this same roll up
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
And I had a patient who thankfully brought me to a private equity firm in Chicago. And he said, just sit here and listen to what they have to say. I promise they're not all the same. Thankful
Hmm.
for him, because I then walked out of there and said, all I need is a growth partner. That's it. Like, I'm not looking for private equity in the way that I was thinking of it. I'm looking for a firm that is going to help me grow. You hear
Yeah,
these stories, you take, let's say, 1 million of EBITDA, and this guy who owned an eye business, and they're at $1 billion. And you're like,
yeah,
wait a minute, he could not have done that on his own,
yep.
right? Likely.
No,
Um,
couldn't have.
so so for me, I was like, I saw a whole different, I got to see under the hood of a really good private equity. I had their name actually taped to my mirror. Every day I would stare at it and say, okay, there is good in the world with the private equity firm. It's just, you just have to find
Mhm.
them.
Yeah,
And that's when I called Ben.
yeah,
I actually called him
yeah.
while I was in Chicago and was like, I'm ready. If you, Ben, can find me the right partner, I'm in.
Hmm.
I'm in.
And how long after that, after your first deal fell apart, was that when you thought you were ready to take that step? How long did that take?
2 years, 2 years. So I
Okay.
opened a second location,
So during
scaled.
that time, you actually opened a second location.
Yeah,
So you had during that time you had continued to grow and done your own thing and
grew
grew bigger.
bigger, increased EBITDA, made sure I was prepared from, I'm not in the treatment rooms as much, made sure that I could backfill, kind of fire myself in multiple different roles so that the
Yeah,
business is being run with or
yeah,
without me present, which I think is really attractive
yeah,
too to private equity.
yeah, for
But
sure.
that's also how I'm able to do leadership things I want to do.
Yeah, yeah. And that's it. The other thing about a failed deal is that you learn so much about your company,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
you learn so much about, where the pitfalls are and what's good and what's bad and what you need to do to improve it to get it to a place where it's not a bad experience to go through in the end.
I feel like I got a mini degree in
Yeah,
M&A. Yeah,
for
I
sure.
definitely.
That's
And
awesome.
we were much more prepared from, here's a certificate, here is this, here is that. Like, and then also what SkyTail did was very smart and said, hey, you're serious about this. You need to go get a quality of earnings from an outside, they do their own, but if you want this additional layer of support, they recommend that you go do this. And that
Yeah,
process was about 2 months to do. It cost, several tens of thousands of dollars. So you have to be
yeah,
serious to do this. But what it did was it created a book or a pitch deck, if you will, that
hmm,
allowed me to go to market and say, you know, don't, because the financial due diligence is incredibly stressful in this process. And it's not
Mhm.
just the business due diligence, it's actually the financial, I think, that just hammers owners. And
Yeah.
I remember, I think it's kind of like I played sports my whole life. So you go back in, even you have blood on your face, you go back in, but you drink the flies from the water, you go back in. Like you
Hmm.
just I knew I was almost stressed because I knew the pressure it was gonna and the energy it was gonna take. But having done it with Skytail, the experiences are literally night and day. And they didn't pay me to say this at all. This is the truth.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they made my life so much easier. And then the quality of earnings, those folks are there, they actually took on the burden of answering all the questions. So
Yeah.
I didn't answer any question when it came to
Yeah.
financial due diligence because I had paid someone to do it and already have it pretty in a pretty bow.
Yeah.
And so my process was like 60 to 70 days from LOI to close. I mean, it was
Really. Really.
fast. It was very strategic. It was very little headache.
Yeah.
Um, so
And
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 then but
talk.
Skytail helped with
I'm
that.
sorry. No, go ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no,
No.
like the Skytail was behind the scenes, putting out fires if they needed to be, probably things I don't even know. But they
Yeah.
were behind the scenes doing a lot of the heavy lifting and a
Yeah.
lot of because they know my brand really well, which was really impactful too, because it's like
Yeah.
not just me having to tell my story multiple times. So yeah, it
Yeah.
was great.
No, and I think again, we were talking this beforehand. I think it would be powerful to get how you worked with them and that whole experience together, because I think a lot of folks don't necessarily know how they work. It's not just helping with the sale. It's all the things they do behind the scenes, and there's a lot. But talk about when you met with the folks from Aya, because the process for the people who haven't been through it, it's I don't know if you went out to a full market or if you just had
Oh
a
yeah.
select few, but it's like you kind of get a little wined and dine, but it's also in some ways almost like a meat market where everyone's checking everything and everyone sees all of your financials, and you kind of it's like speed dating, and
Yes.
and then you meet a bunch of folks and you have to choose really. um but so how did you end up knowing that Aya was the one?
Yeah. So it is like a meat market. It's so funny you say that. What's really neat about the SkyTel process is that they have, so I said to them, do not put me, please, with any traditional roll-ups. I'm not
Yeah.
interested in doing like anything with traditional roll-ups. I want to be a platform
Hmm.
or platform entry, like go in and be able to develop a platform that is existing, but not like this huge platform that already exists. So I was very specific in what
Hmm.
who I was even going out to. So 126 companies is who they put me
Hmm.
out to.
Wow.
It was wild. So,
That is wild.
over 20 IOIs came back. And
Uh-huh.
that was like a record breaking because, you're not for everybody, even though there's that many
Yeah,
companies, so
for sure.
20 is it was like 21 or 22 companies came back. Out of that, I actually flew to Dallas and I sat down with them in their boardroom and they did a presentation on all 21. And they said, this is this company, this is this company, this is the structure. And they had whiteboards and they were explaining. And I did feel like you were in like the, whatever those rooms are called, like the dark data room. And you're
Yeah.
looking at it all and you're going, oh, and you have to switch your mind a couple, like out of 21, you have to, assess
Yeah.
each one, pare it down, they said, to 10 and then pare that
Yeah.
down to about 8 for who you actually want to have dinner with.
Yeah.
And so that's what happened. I, went through each individual structure and company and what they do and what they stand for, and then pared it down to 8. And you line it up because Skytail flies in so nice. They fly
Hmm.
in every single week. And so I did
Hmm.
a solid 3 weeks, almost every single night till midnight after hours. Went to
Hmm.
each location, had dinner, sat with them, asked the questions. And some of these groups, you really connect with. And
Hmm.
some you literally after 2 minutes of them walking into your space, you're like, we don't even have to go to dinner.
Yeah.
We don't
Yeah.
even like,
Yeah.
thank you for flying in, but what
Yeah.
do you want to talk about at dinner? Something other than this.
Yeah.
And so I think the knowing, like, so if I, process wise, that part is a little bit challenging because it is speed dating and you do have to pick the right person. Like you're marrying, this is your chosen family. And
Yeah.
so you
And
can't
you're giving up control of your
giving up
business.
control. And that was another huge piece of it for me. And I wanted to maintain some ownership. So I had,
Yeah.
ownership still. And I wanted to have a company that does value my voice and values that I want to have what we call world domination.
Hmm.
And to me, that was just another number or another spa, and I was, got that vibe at all. I was out. I was out.
Yeah.
I want someone that's like-minded. And so what happened was with Aya was the CEO, who is the plastic surgeon, Darcy, who's our president, and Drew from the private equity, and I think Badger was there as well. But we all sat down at breakfast where everybody else was at dinner. So this was already
Hmm.
unique. We went to breakfast and sitting across talking about clinical, the way that they view clinical aspects in this industry, talking about their growth strategy, their vision, their thoughts, and making sure that I'm fully consciously listening and not letting the excitement overshadow or overcloud any of my thoughts. Really
Hmm.
thinking like, do I want to work with you? Do I want to work with you? Do I want to work with you? Can I work with them?
Hmm.
And having met Darcy, I jokingly said, Darcy, you are me, but the administrative version of me, and I am the clinical version of you. So
Hmm.
if you and I are going to work together, we're going to do some incredible things because we're the same person. And
Hmm.
we actually took a personality test, and she called me and she's like, you're right. We're the same person. I'm like, I know. Because we
Yeah.
want they do this really cool thing where it's like how to get a founder to really understand how they tick and how they can
Hmm.
work best with, each other. And I think that was really meaningful for me too, was
Hmm.
that post close. It wasn't pre close, that was post close. Like, how are we gonna work together best with our personality types
Hmm.
and I have a leadership coach, and I'm like, this
Hmm.
is meaningful. This is
Hmm.
wonderful.
How important was the clinical discussion? Because did most of the other firms do that, or was it important to have the plastic surgeon there and talk about, because that's, again, that shows what their priority is, I think.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. That was huge. Having the clinical voice there was
Yeah.
actually very, very unique. In any of the meetings I went
Yeah.
in, there really wasn't any
Yeah.
that I can think of back that had that much of an impact on me. And I think there's a couple controversial things happening in this industry. Of course, PDGF, right?
Yeah.
That's a big controversial topic. And that was actually my first topic I asked about. I was like, what do you think? I guess like a quiz, right? Like, what do you think of this? And then what he said and how it aligned with how I feel, I'm like, good, we're thinking similarly. We're
Hmm.
innovators, we're focused on regenerative medicine. We're focused on like the forward movement of this industry, and not afraid to think outside the box.
Hmm. Hmm. So, how do you feel about? I mean, first of all, congratulations. I think
Thank
that's so
you.
cool.
Thank you.
It's um it's exciting and comforting, and it's positive to know that people have these positive experiences, because I've heard some not so positive experiences, and that's always
Hmm.
kind of sad.
Hmm.
Um, but I've heard some real positive ones too, and so that makes me excited. So,
Yeah,
how are you feeling though about everything? Are you excited for
I
the future?
feel so good. I actually, I wake up getting out of bed. I think the other thing is we don't realize as like a sole business owner how much we're carrying.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
I look at just, from a day-to-day standpoint, operation, and how you're almost in like a defense mode when you get out of bed. What's going to happen
Yeah,
today? What's the,
yeah.
and not that we were having problems actually at all. We really weren't.
Hmm.
But it's just the unknown and the stress response, right, that you have. And so now for me, I wake up, I know that I have a team of people working on our behalf. I wake up knowing that, because the other thing is owner. provider burnout is a real thing.
Yeah.
I could see it coming, if I kept at the pace that I was at.
Mhm.
And for me, I'm very intuitive with like, okay, I know if I keep going like this, I'm not going to be good in like 2 years.
Right.
And
Yep.
so that was also part of my thought process of reaching out for help. Was like, you know what? I don't want to carry this all on me anymore. I want
Yeah.
help. I want help with a team that I also respect and that I also, so I'm really happy. In fact, when I inject now, I'm bedside about a day and a half a week, give or take, which is
Mhm.
perfect for me because my day to day, I get to work remotely on the things I love doing.
Mhm.
I wake up, I'm very like, I literally spring out of bed now, like I've had cold brew and I haven't had cold brew. And I just feel re-energized like I did when I first opened. I feel like that's the thing. Like
That's awesome.
we as I'm injecting faces, I'm again back that pat. I think it's all back to like when you're running and doing a million things, your brain is going in a million places. And now I get to refocus and like enjoy exactly why I'm in this industry. And
Yeah.
that
That's really
that
cool.
was a huge coming full circle for me.
Yeah. And you're coming back to the conference now. You're going to be at
Yeah.
Medical Spa show next week.
Yes.
So
I'm so
that's cool.
excited.
Um,
Yes.
and you're bringing your incredibly built and handsome hubby with you, so everything can
Yes.
be deliver him. And he's retiring though. That's
He
that's
is.
that's that's good for him. Like I
Maybe
said,
I'll get him
so
to inject a little bit. He's a
yeah,
dentist. He can do some stuff.
yeah. Why not? Why not? Well, this is really cool, and so it's a great story. I think a lot of folks will learn from you. If you're going to be in Vegas and you're hearing this, we'll have to get this out ahead of time because otherwise you're going to be like, what the hell are you talking about? Um, or you were in Vegas and you met Megan. She's you're just a very dynamic, cool person. And I think, wish nothing but the best for you. And I'm glad
Thank
I'm
you.
glad that you're happy about this. I can't wait to meet the folks from Aya myself because they seem like really cool people. We will try to do something with them as well as with Skytail because I think there's some process things that we can put together that I think would be informative for folks. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, thank you so much for all the information. You've always been very open, and it's exciting.
Thank you so much. And I can't wait to hang out in Vegas. And yeah, this is going to be fun.
By the way, like one of the first, I think this is like podcast number 2 or 3 that we ever did on this show was in Vegas. Remember that in the
Yes.
Bellagio bar? I think it was the
Yes.
Bellagio in the bar with
Yes.
you and like Brad
Yes.
Adato was there, and
Yes.
that was maybe a little bit of a mess, but really fun and funny.
Yeah, I did Fleek brows the first two. Remember
Bleak,
the first?
yeah,
Yeah, the
that's
first,
right.
the
And
first.
I think that might have been
Yeah.
at like VCS though, like at a different
Uh,
show, and we just decided to do it. So that
maybe.
was,
Yeah. I don't
I can't
remember.
remember.
Go back way far. Actually, I
Yeah,
think back in Santa Monica too, one of your first boot camps I went to as well. And that's where I met Berta Dotto, actually at his place. I think it
yeah,
was at his place
yeah.
way, way back
Oh, that was
when.
that was no, that was back at Nelson Hardiman
Oh, okay.
in Santa
Okay.
Monica. Yeah, back in the day.
Yes, that was my
Yeah,
first ever boot camp, and
yeah,
I got to look
yeah.
back to see if we have photos from that. But
We've got
it
them somewhere. We do.
was,
I think Terry Ross was at that one too. The first one
yeah.
she was at too.
Oh
That was
yeah.
amazing.
Yes, this has been a fun
Yeah,
decade, and that's the thing, right? Like a decade just flies by, and a lot of fun, and we're very lucky to be in this industry. I
yeah.
feel.
I agree. I totally agree. Well, more to come. So you're just getting
Yes.
started, and you just only
Yes.
turned 30. So imagine what you'll do by the time you turn 40.
Yeah, right. I'm ready to just grow and scale and do this with
Yeah,
really, in a meaningful way, leave an impact, a legacy, and just have I love this industry. I'm very passionate and the integrity and just keep pushing forward to excellence for everybody.
I love it. That's cool. I like it.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you. I'll see you soon.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you to our producer, Madeline Moeller, marketing content coordinator, who organizes the podcast schedule and guests and provides topics and talking points. Audio and video editing, voiceover, graphics, and platform management is provided by myself, Derek Hawk, digital marketing supervisor. Our themes are provided by Maka Music. Thank you for watching or listening to the Medical Spa Insider podcast. Please follow or subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for future episodes. Ratings and reviews are greatly appreciated. For more information about the American Med Spa Association, visit americanmedspa.org. Reference to any specific product or entity does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation by AmSpa. Views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance in the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity that they represent. AmSpa provides this podcast as a full service for educational purposes only. This podcast does not constitute legal advice, nor does it establish an attorney-client relationship. Please consult with an attorney on your legal issues. And as always, thank you for listening to the Medical Spa Insider. Remember, compliance is cool.